Not every season survives. The White Lotus is a popular anthology series with an ensemble cast whose stories intertwine in ways both major and minor. Along the way, we get some high-end satirical comedy, compelling drama, and beautiful sights that vary depending on where this season's particular hotel is. Given the fictional resort chain apparently has luxurious locations all around the world, Season 4 can be anywhere. So far we've had Hawaii, Italy, and Thailand in that order. In the meantime, people are already wondering who will be cast for the next installment in this hit series, and it will be exciting to find out. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching for more details. The show has grown in popularity throughout each season, but that doesn't mean that they're all created equal. They each have some things in common, including commentary on socioeconomic status, characters on vacation, characters who work at the hotel, complicated love stories, and that trademark whodunit structure of showing someone die at the beginning of the first episode so that fans can speculate on how things will reach that point. However, despite each season's similarities, they have had subtle and not so subtle differences. Some don't necessarily make one season better than another, such as the different locations or that wonderful opening music, though it is odd that they completely got rid of the beloved Lulu theme. On the other hand, some differences do affect the quality of the storytelling, so let's take a look at how the series has handled itself. Below is each season ordered from worst to best, ranked by their levels of humor, emotional power, satirical bite, nuance in the characters, and satisfying story arcs. Season 3. While the first two seasons had a sunnier vibe, most of the White Lotus Thailand season dwells in a darker mode. This isn't necessarily a bad thing in itself, but it often did feel like the series wasn't having as much fun as in previous seasons. Chelsea, Amy Lou Wood, and Victoria Ratliff, Parker Posey, were always a pleasure to have around, but the cast was largely either boring or serious. The boring part is the real problem, of course, which leads to another problem with the season. It's too slow. Most television series would think that an 8-episode season is short, but it's apparently too long for the White Lotus. Technically, most of the characters are on vacation for a week, so it makes sense to have one episode per day. This season actually has 2 episodes for one day, one taking place during the day and the other at night. But, again, the pacing makes their conflicts feel less suspenseful. Despite great acting, the petty problems between Jacqueline, Michelle Monaghan, Kate, Leslie Bibb, and Laurie, Carrie Coon, don't feel like they merit anywhere near the amount of screen time these characters get. Then there are the storylines that had lots of potential but didn't go anywhere. Timothy Ratliff, Jason Isaacs, was such a great character, and there was so much potential for a huge emotional resolution to his conflict. Unfortunately, he barely did anything throughout the season other than freak out by himself. His troubles back home are perfect for the hotel's insistence on having no phones for the week, but we don't even get any big reveal of what the rest of his family makes of their circumstances once they get their phones back. Overall, the man's actions ultimately have no consequences that the audience gets to see, making for the biggest letdown of the series so far. There's also Gaytok, Tame Thapthimthong, whose gun gets stolen by Timothy and doesn't even have to stand up for himself to get it back. Furthermore, he never really needs to be courageous the entire season, so his arc feels like a waste of time. Overall, there are many potentially interesting characters who don't get much to do, making it feel like there are too many in the ensemble. Along with plot holes large and small throughout the season, and especially in the finale, this is the first installment in the series that's not so easy to recommend. Season 2. Set in Sicily, the White Lotus second season starts off with promising storylines that take a little longer to gather steam than the ones in the first season. That said, it's interesting to see Tanya McWoyd, Jennifer Coolidge, and her husband Greg, John Grease, having a less than ideal time, as Greg seemed to be so much nicer in season 1. In fact, this can be thought of as the season of dysfunctional marriages. Other than Tanya, there's a man who can't seem to stop cheating on his wife, whose own father flagrantly cheated back in the day. And there are 2 couples on vacation together who also dabble in lies and infidelity. The conflicts here focus on themes of masculinity more than the other seasons. Along with 2 sex workers trying to make their dreams come true in 2 different ways, this season proves to be very much driven by sex, how it can be used for love, manipulation, trade, etc. Money is just as much a factor as ever here, driving characters to jealousy, self-destruction, hope, violence, and distraction. Tanya saying that, "It's a good feeling when you realize that someone has money, because then, you don't have to worry about them wanting yours," is one of the best quotes in the series, showing just how important presentation is when trying to fool someone else. Quinton, Tom Hollander, is a great character, perfectly bringing charm and a shade of mystery into Tanya's storyline halfway through the season. Meanwhile, Cameron, Theo James, and Jack Leo Woodall seem to have a ton of secrets, while Lucia, Simona Tabasco, does a great job of tricking someone into giving her money. These episodes don't have quite as much humor as the first season, but there's still enough comedy and satire to more than satisfy audiences. The finale tops things off in superb fashion, and it's no wonder that there was so much excitement surrounding Season 3. Season 1. The first and shortest season starts off running. Tanya is a wreck and desperately needs a massage. Mark, Steve Zahn, anxiously waits for news about his testicles. Shane childishly complains to his wife about getting the wrong room on their honeymoon, and hotel manager Armand, Murray Bartlett, is training a woman who is secretly about to give birth. She only had one episode, but Jolene Purdy more than left a mark with her role as a super-stressed hotel employee, who ultimately makes Armand reflect on his position. But then he gets his hands on some drugs and things go hilariously downhill from there. His season-long rivalry with Shane is pure joy to behold, and their petty battle is one of the major plot points responsible for several of the series' best episodes. Meanwhile, Rachel, Alexandra Daddario, faces a crisis that feels more and more significant as her new husband proves increasingly immature as a result of his privileged upbringing. With only 6 episodes and a lot to prove as a new series, The White Lotus doesn't waste any time here. It also has the advantage of having fewer characters than the other seasons, which allows Mike White to carefully develop everyone's storylines and make us fully invested in them all. With the intention of dumping her mother's ashes in the sea, Tanya quickly proved to be such.